Okay, so fuck. I went this whole stream and nobody thought to tell me that my mic was off. Literally, what I was talking about midway through the stream is that, man, I really hope I don't do what I did before. Dude, that's so funny. Wait, can you actually hear me now? Dude. Oh my god, you can. Can you actually hear me now? Bro. So, dude, that's not funny. I should have known better. I should have tried it beforehand. I switched it off when I was going to do my laundry right before stream started, and I thought like it was gonna get fixed. So I spent here. I was talking so much. I was teaching you guys how I render, and literally nothing came out. Oh my god. Well, anyway, let me go back to like literally. I have to recap everything I talked about because I said so much. But really, when I want to like, the whole reason I'm doing this is because we reached 640 subscribers, and that doesn't seem very huge to like the average person, but this is like super big because for like the past year I've been stuck on 630, 620. Um and it's been like I don't know. I kept trying to, you know, I don't know. It's so hard to really describe, but it's like I couldn't really get anywhere higher, so I was just kind of accepting that okay, this is what I'm going to be stuck at. And then out of nowhere, my stuff started blowing up again. And it was like magical because up to this point I had kind of given up. I was like, okay, it's not going to get anywhere higher because, I just don't make entertaining content. And when I try to do long form content and talk and stuff, it obviously doesn't work out very well for me. Uh, but that's also because, like, I'm going to be real, I'm not the kind of person who I think would make a good YouTuber. I try. Uh, but it's kind of a struggle for me because I'm not, the most, I don't know, entertaining person to talk to. So, yeah, I've like, it's so strange. And it's always one where, like, every time I sit there and go, man, I feel like I'm never going to get anywhere with my art. I always have to remind myself I have, like, 600 subscribers on YouTube. And that means 600 people were like, saw my stuff and were like, cool. And a lot of the people that are following me followed me before my art like really got better. So a lot of these people had been like OGs. And that's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, so kind of what I talked about in the beginning without, it getting like cut off and stuff. Was the whole reason I'm doing this is the last few videos I've done was talking about how I've improved over time and how my OCs have changed. And I showed off this picture of summer. And it's the first digital piece I ever made. And it's this one. And I was talking about like the big flaws in it, like, overuse of the airbrush and, just the lines are very buggy and they like, look at that, look at that. I don't really know my thought process behind it. I was like, a big fan of drawing breast like that. Obviously, I've gotten better over time, but this is kind of one where it's like it's so funny to look at it and laugh at it. Um, but it's just one where it's like, let's celebrate and redraw this stupid piece. And it's kind of hard to like figure out exactly how to translate it, because like they're very different, but I'm trying to go for like a similar theme. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not the clearest speaker, guys. I'm trying though, I really am. Oh yeah, I saw a bunch of the live stream comments about my name. I did talk about that, and it was when my mic was shut off. Um, my name was like, I wanted to be like a super secret internet personality who had no face, and everybody wanted to know who I was, because I was like 12, 13 when I made this, and that was like my goal. So that's why my name is literally just AE. And then I realized how stupid that sounds, because my stuff don't show up. Hi, we're actually getting people on the stream. I'm so excited. But yeah, there's so much that I talked about when the mic was off that now I have to like re-mention. And one of these things is about my rendering. So what I'm doing right now is I covered it in like a brighter color so I can see where it goes out of the lines, and I'm just kind of erasing it. And you'll see like I missed quite a few spots, and that's just because when I go to render, it'll get covered up again. It's the same with like a lot of the white spaces that you can see. What I'll do is I come down here and we just take the lasso tool. We do that. And we do that, and it kind of covers it up, and then like I'll change it to better fit the colors. So yeah. Right now, we're just kind of going to go through... Oh, wait. And you always want to make sure you're actually doing the gray part and not, just the red part, because I've done that quite a few times, especially in spots where, there's another gray layer at. So yeah, we're just going to fix this up. Like I can already tell I'm gonna have to go through and change to that lower level, because it's like it's not the greatest color. I like to go for like a blue, kind of a green one, but it also depends on like what I'm doing for a background. I don't know how I'm gonna do this background. It's kind of hard to translate. It's kind of like what I said before, so I think it's gonna be a lot of playing with patterns and just trying to get something better. Like I'm gonna have to remove that because it's making it hard to actually see like the lower line. But we kind of have something going here. Here we go. Now, the way I like to render the faces is that I like... A while ago, I saw someone talk about, they do makeup and they learn to render based on their makeup. And I kind of like, it's like, okay, that's a cool technique. let's see. Actually, I want to try something different. So when I did here was, usually I just do a gray like a gray layer, and it looks very dead and sad. So I added this timber, not timber, like umber wood color. It's not exactly it, but I didn't want to like look up the real color. So I just added like a brown. And I added it, and it makes her look so much more lively. So what I'm really thinking is that I want to come in and do the same thing with the hair. We can go ahead and try like this. Actually, it would be kind of like a cool reference to throw in purple. And then we'll come in and we'll throw in the black. That makes it too blue though. So maybe we try overlay. That still doesn't really help here. Like with it, it's coming out really too purple. So what, I guess we can go back here. We can go make this more blue, turn it more gray, and that's how we kind of get this black that I use is actually just a lighter blue on a soft. Sometimes I do multiply, sometimes I do overlay. Really depends what I'm going for. I think I'm going to go ahead and do multiply for this one. It's kind of make it a little more brighter. I slowly kind of brighten my blue until I get a black color that I really like. And then we're going to come back to our under layer, and we're kind of going to erase it. And then let's go ahead and do a second fixture on this. I'm thinking, let's go ahead and do a blue. Let's see. See, that's the problem, is that it does that. So what we can also do is we can come back and find that brown we used. We could try that one. Maybe go a little bit darker. That really does help, and it changes so much. So now we need to work on her shirt. And her shirt is, at least the one that I picked, is just black. So what we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove that. And we're going to go back. I talked about this before, but I use the gouache brush. It is my favorite for, you know, like adding a grayscale layer. This is the one I use because it blends super well. Like, it's my favorite blending one. It also kind of has like a very interesting texture to it, especially like when you go back and you use like the eraser. I typically don't do the eraser for this one just because it's not a clear one. Like, it still leaves a lot left afterward. But, you know, I figured it's still one of my favorite brushes. For my line art, I use chalk. And then, kind of similar, I like the way it erases. I do use that sometimes. Usually in darker spots, like the lips up here, I'll go back and I'll erase. Before, in my older, I used to do it to help render. I would go through and I would like shade stuff like that. Right, I don't really use it anymore in my rendering. I have other brushes that I prefer. And kind of what I messed up here was I added color way too early on. I really do like to keep it grayscale until I finish everything, and then I go back through and I add the little pops of color. Usually just helps me like make sure everything is like rendered right. So we're gonna come back up here. We're gonna add a little bit of brighter color. Now her shoulder in this reference photo, because I do have a reference photo pulled up to help me with shading. That is a big art tip I'm going to give, is that you use a lot of reference photos. It's the same reason I don't really show my line art anymore, is that I use so many reference photos and it takes so long that I think it's just better to, like, sometimes, not show it. And I'm not the only one. I think a lot of actual professionals don't really show it anymore, because of just how long it takes them. I would definitely think, like, a lot of the long aspects of my art generally come from the grayscale rendering and the line art. So yeah, okay. We have one shoulder strap done. We're kind of going to move on to the other one. Now, it's still pretty dark, but it's definitely not as dark as the other one. We're kind of looking at a... I know I said I wanted to fix her clothes. I ended up not doing it. Cause I forgot, honestly, that I wanted to do it. But another part of it is just like, I don't know. It makes you wonder what she's wearing. Because that was the problem, is that it's like, you can put her in cute clothes, but you can't really see the outfit. So it really, like, gets rid of, the good part of her wearing cute clothes, is that you don't really get to see it. But I think for this one, it's okay. Because the point of it isn't that you're really supposed to see her wearing the cute clothes. I don't really know what color I want to put her in, because I don't know. The original outfit that I'm basing it on, that I found on Pinterest, is black. But I don't know. She deserves more than just black. I could make it like a little red. Kind of like her lip color. Okay. Here we go. I was going to fix up this one a bit, because make it a little bit lighter. Sometimes I do break my reference photos. Like, I'll go and add color where, maybe I think it needs a little more. But this is what we have so far. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to add the underlayer. We'll go ahead and add some color to her. And now we're going to add a little bit of color to her shirt. We could go here, throw in a little bit of that. And sometimes what I do is I'll change which kind of layer, what kind of blending mode I do. It really depends on if a color is showing up right. Like this, her skin is very obviously, like, you can see a lot of lines in it. So what I think I'll go back and do, I'm just kind of going to run back through it. We'll just fix it up a bit. We'll kind of get rid of all those dark spots. I do kind of like the texture of it. I think it looks really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. But another thing I'm going to add is just to kind of give her a little more to it. We're kind of going to do that. And we're going to kind of come over here and we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And now we have kind of a little layer underneath her clothes. Now, I don't know if I would really say she would wear fishnets. The one I was looking at kind of had like, oh wait, it's because I'm on eraser. kind of had like different textures in it. I don't know what I really want to do with that, so I'm going to leave that there. And we're going to go ahead and start rendering. Now for rendering, what we're going to do is we are going to go up here. Actually, you know what, before we do that, here's what we got so far. She still kind of looks like she's smiling, which I think works for her. I don't really picture her being a huge crier. I think she's definitely more, she's definitely kind of not very sad. I think she definitely expresses more happiness. So what we're going to go ahead and do is, we're going to go to her skin layer. We're going to get rid of the black for now. We are going to, hold on, I'm going to like take you guys off of this. I don't want y'all seeing my photos. I have so many. It's stupid. We're just going to do this for now. You get to see me, you know, flip through this though. So right now what I'm going to is I have a layer on Clip Studio Paint. I forgot what I'd actually paint with. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take a general layer that I have just for reference photos. This is it's got so many layers right now, but I use this one because it has all of my skin coloring stuff that I do. It's not the right brush. I'll get something right. But what I usually do is I come by and I do like a general face one. There's like a photo you can find on Pinterest that has like the different colors that they use for shading faces, and they do red and they have this like blue color. This is generally what I do to give the faces a little more color. It's very rough for the first one, but I just kind of do that, and I take this darker yellow. I'm going to throw that on top. And then usually by doing this you kind of get a rougher one. So what I do is I come up here. You get a little more than what you expect. So you just kind of fix it up. And then, you know, fix it up. You kind of want to get some blending through the brushes. Like, I still don't think the red is enough on top of the face. So I'm just going to come back up here. And then I take a blending brush. I use the texture blender. And I just kind of come in here. Really start. That's too big of a brush. But kind of do this. And then I will, you know, throw in a soft light. Really do that. And I really think changing the gray layer to this brown one really helps, and you can really see it pop more and once I add this color. So now I'm going to go do my second layer of it, and I do a second layer just to get the rest of the body in the face. So typically I take this blue and I go down to the more shaded areas. Like her face is very shaded, so we're kind of gonna get under the eye, her nose, her lips, and the hairline of hers. And then we kind of have this. And I usually change what order I do it in. But we're gonna go ahead and do red because that's also very important for this one. She's crying, so a lot of her face is going to be made red. Like, she's already gonna have very red cheeks. Usually below the lips, I also add a little bit of red. By the chest and the shoulders, I add a bit of red. It looks very wonky at first, but then once you start like blending it out and adding it together, it'll look significantly better. I did take this little orange color and I make that like the barrier between the blues. I think it blends very well, and it kind of keeps, it's kind of like a transitional layer for the yellows. So yeah, I just get it into these darker areas, kind of make it that. Sometimes I'll add it in a bit of my own areas. I'll add it by the red sometimes. It kind of helps it blend out the red too. And now we'll go ahead and we'll step in with our bright yellow. This brighter yellow I use for, you know, general bright shading. Like here where it's still being hit by light, but it's not being extremely hit by light, we'll go ahead and add it. So right now we have something like this. It's very rough. I think it's kind of rougher than how I usually do it, but we'll kind of come back over here. Kind of. A little bit of this. And you don't have to color the whole thing. Usually I save blending to like really hit everything, but right now we're just kind of doing that. And then we'll take our final color, which is this bright yellow, and we'll hit these super bright areas. And that'll be our extra color. Right here. And this is just going to be put where, you know, we see a lot of the light hitting it. This is very rough, so I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more orange to the neck and chest. Just kind of like this. It'll be kind of a rougher one, but now what we'll do is we'll take our little blending brush and we'll cover it all up. Really blend it together. Like this. And then now we have this, and we're gonna go ahead and play with our tools. That's very bright. Yeah, so I've said it before and I'll say it again. Really adding that brown texture really makes it feel more alive. Like if we take it off, there's such a huge difference there. And I'm so glad I thought about changing that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start rendering. So we go ahead and make another folder. And the brushes I use for rendering are, we start off on this one. These are all downloaded ones. I don't even remember where I got some of these. But I have this one right here, which looks like this. And then sometimes I use this one, but usually I just use this. This is usually what I do for like a base layer. And then I come down here, I have this liquid brush. Looks like this and this. I play around. Sometimes I use it transparently, but that's that one. And then if I need to like come back and reline something, I use this right here. You know, it works really well small. I don't really use it big. And then my other brush that I use for rendering is going to be this comb brush. It kind of gives it like a fun shape and really makes it stick out. So yeah, we're going to come back. We're going to take this one. And for rendering, I like to color pick certain spots. And we just start adding it. We typically go a little bit darker. And we kind of, you know, just start adding, you know, extra shading to some spots. We really try to add color around. I usually start off with this brush and then I'll go into one of my other brushes. This way I can hit all of the spots with kind of this basic layer. And I like to like switch around where I'm at sometimes. Like, a lot of this is just going to be playing with color and figuring out what works. But I would argue that's what a lot of my art is just playing around and seeing what works. So we kind of have this going on right now, and you'll see we're like adding that blue and the yellow to the face really helps, because then we can throw in stuff like this and it really makes a difference in like the colors you're seeing. And you always kind of want to zoom out and look at how everything's looking as a whole. Now this whole piece is really about, you know, looking back at how I've changed since I first started making art. So I do want to talk about some of like the big things that I've learned over time. Like a huge problem I talked about was, you know, oh, I don't have that layer anymore. Anyway, I abuse the airbrush. I just made a video on TikTok talking about how the same face syndrome and learning about that really hurt my art, because I became convinced that like same face syndrome meant you needed to have unique looking characters. And it's kind of the same with the airbrush one. Now, unlike what I got from the same face syndrome one, I was more convinced that in order to, you know, make art and stuff, I had to like the airbrush one had like a mixed community on it. You either had people who hated the airbrush or like, oh no, use the airbrush. But no one ever really said how you're supposed to. And I still do use the airbrush occasionally. When I do makeup, sometimes I'll come in and I'll airbrush it. Sometimes for like fog and stuff, I'll use it. It's not a tool that I think people should be afraid of using. I think we just need to talk about how you're supposed to use it. I'm not the person that would be the one to really say how you do it. Another big thing about my art was I kind of just learned how to draw. I was like a super big tracer when I was like starting off as an artist. And the whole reason I think I really stopped was I like wanted to post my art online. And I was at that I was post DeviantArt cringe, because I think he like stopped doing a lot of that stuff after I started watching him. But I was like convinced that, you know, people are gonna find out I trace, so I stopped tracing. And I think it's like, I do agree with people. I think tracing is a good tool for beginner artists. Because I definitely improved, and I think it was you pick up a few techniques that you would not pick up if you didn't trace. Um, like you learn anatomy gets better. I think line art in general gets better. But I do think you also lose quite a bit of the fundamentals when you do that. Like, you know, if you trace digitally and then try to, draw traditionally, you're going to have a hard time because you're so used to, like, really relying on that base layer. So I do think you can, like, I don't know. I have a thought here and it's just not coming out right. Okay, here we go. Kind of add a little more texture here. Doesn't that look pretty? Actually, and then sometimes what I like to do, just for the fun of it, I like to like unrender, like, turn off the thing and just kind of look at how it changes. That kind of gives me a good idea if how I'm rendering is really actually helpful to the piece. But like rendering will take such a long time. We do kind of get like a cool texture from it. I really need to go pull my laundry out of the washer and dryer. There's so much stuff I was supposed to get done this weekend. I got like a 4-day weekend and I have done literally nothing with it. I have assignments I need to do. Finally getting laundry done. That's a big one. I wanted to talk about art school because that was something I kind of talked about when the volume was down. But I started recently. This is my second week. Well, technically my first week of actual classes and stuff. But second week there because I did Bridge Week. I had to go. And I really don't know how I feel about this. Like, I mentioned this on Instagram, but I kind of am realizing, do I really want to study art? I love art, and it's definitely something I want to do for, like, the rest of my life. But I hate learning, and I've never really been good at art classes. Like, I didn't really get better until our art classes gave us ultimate freedom to do whatever we wanted to. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm hesitating, and now I don't really know what I want to do. We have done a few assignments now, and it's kind of like it's so weird stepping into like a class with like a lot of artists in it, because you go so long in your life, like you tell people, oh, I want to be an illustrator, when I get out of high school. And people are like surprised by that. They're like, really? That's so cool. I don't know. I've never met somebody who wanted to do that before. And then you go to like art school and everybody wants to do that. So it kind of loses that special feeling of like being able to tell somebody and they kind of look at you and go, man, that's cool. But you also get to see like a lot of really cool artists and their different techniques and stuff. Like we just did a project where we were working on negative space, and it was just seeing the different ways people use the graphite. Like, you know, you have some people who like, I don't know, you can tell do a lot of pencil drawings, and you have people like me who just like cannot do graphite no matter how much they try. I had somebody say that they liked mine because it was super messy. And I think if I was a different artist, I probably would have like not liked that. But messy is how I would describe my art. I'm not a messy person by any means. Like, I like to be very clean and I don't like stuff on me, but my digital art is incredibly messy because I don't have to worry about like, oh, I got stuff on my hands. There's nobody watching right now. So I'm kind of wondering if it's cool for me to like pause for a minute and go, you know, do my laundry. What do we think? I'm talking to myself here. See, that's my problem right now is that there's like okay. I think I'm good to go do my laundry. So I'll be back. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna end that here. Oh, come on. My mouse is gone. There it is. Alright guys, we're back. I just had to do my laundry, so I had to leave for a moment. But no, okay. So this is what we're at right now. So yeah. Pretty much what I'm doing right now is I'm rendering. That's kind of the big difference we're seeing. But I've been talking about like how I render and stuff. So I'm kind of going back and fixing some stuff. Like, here we go. There, come on. There we go. That's a little too bright. I definitely just like playing around with colors because, you know, you'll see like how much of a difference just playing around with colors really makes. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the face. I'm going to go ahead and make another layer for the face. This way, if there's any mistakes and I need to like erase something, I'm not like fighting to only erase a certain part. We're kind of going to go through to this under layer. This is what we got so far. And like, it's going to be a lot of color picking, and then kind of playing around with like how darker and lighter colors really change the piece. The big thing I still need to do is like I need to like really redden the features, but when I want to go through and like really make the cheeks look redder and stuff, what I end up doing is I wait until I've rendered, and then I go through and I take the airbrush, or technically I can do that now. What I'll do is I just kind of see, that's a little bit too bright, but I just kind of do stuff like that. We really want to try to get under here. It's coming out a little too bright and not all in the right place. So I'm actually gonna brighten it. We're kind of gonna just erase it and figure out where we want to put it, like up here and stuff. Also, what you can do, you can come lasso stuff and then kind of do that. I'm not a huge fan of this method because, you know, it leaves a big mark, but, you know, take what you need to from this. So yeah, we're just kind of gonna add, make that red. Red in the nose, red in the face. I'm actually gonna like redden the eyelids too. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but if I cry, my eyelids get red. And then we're gonna brighten this one up with another color. Now we can see where everything's at. And now we're gonna use our friend lasso tool and just kind of get rid of where we don't need it at. We really don't need. Actually, your eyes do get like red, so we could actually keep that. Never mind, we're gonna keep that. You know, we'll erase that one. Come over here, we're kind of gonna erase this. And we're gonna. I'm gonna come back. I'm actually gonna fix this eye like I wanted to. Okay, so does her eye not look right? What do I do for eyes? Right now we're just going to move around the eyes. We're going to figure out. That kind of gives her a lazy eye look though. I think her eye looks good. That's my big problem is I always like yeah, okay. And then we'll kind of go back cuz and we're kind of save that. All right, I think I'm gonna stop right now. Yeah. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. If I can find my mouse.